You know that deeply unsettling sensation you get sometimes, like waking up from a dream that was just so emotionally vivid? It actually takes you a few minutes to remember your real reality.
Oh, yeah, where you find yourself, like, mourning a lost pet you never even owned or missing a house you never lived in. It's super disorienting.
Right. It is profoundly disorienting to feel real grief for something that, only ever existed inside your own neurons. Now, I want you to take that exact psychological dislocation, multiply it by 12 relentless years, and then drop the person experiencing it into the middle of a brutal post-apocalyptic wasteland.
Which is just a terrifying starting point for a character.
It really is. And that is the psychological starting line for today's deep dive. We are stepping into the incredibly dark, beautifully complex world of D.P. Kirk's novel, San Vitae, The Awakening.
Yeah, and specifically, we're looking at a huge turning point in the book.
Exactly. Our mission today is to provide a comprehensive reader's guide and a structural analysis of the novel's most pivotal chapter, Chapter 21, which is titled Broken Seal.
And we are pulling directly from the text here, really looking at the underlying mechanics of Kirk's world building. We want to show you why this specific chapter elevates the entire book from, a standard survival story into a real masterpiece of speculative fiction.
Okay, let's unpack this.
Yeah.
We have to start with Kurien. He's our protagonist, and he is a Sanite, which is a rare and totally misunderstood class of Vitae user, and as the chapter opens, he has just escaped an Inquisitor's vault.
Right, and to really appreciate the narrative weight of what happens in Broken Seal, you have to understand the immense trauma he's carrying. I mean, the second this chapter begins, he is already broken.
Because, as you probably know from the overarching conflict of this world, there is this relentless holy war going on. You have the vampiric Vitae-wielding Santerrie on one side, and the technologically advanced purist humanis on the other.
Yeah, so just existing as a Sanite like Kurien is essentially a death sentence. But Kurien hasn't just been existing, right? He has been enduring unimaginable torture in that vault.
For over a decade, 12 years of having his unique Sanite abilities tested, his body literally ripped apart in an Iron Maiden and his Vitae drained.
The human mind, or well, the Sanite mind in this case, just cannot process that level of sustained agony without collapsing.
No, it would completely break you.
Exactly. So to prevent complete psychological death, Kurien's consciousness executed this radical defense mechanism. It entirely severed his awareness from his physical body.
And it built a hallucination.
Yes, a seamless, continuous hallucination.
Right.
For 12 whole years, his mind convinced him he was living a peaceful existence in the city of Roanth. He experienced the daily rhythms of raising a young son named Han and navigating a complex romance with his former Covenness Myasuchi.
He built an entire lifetime. Mundane arguments, bedtime stories, profound love, all of it.
And the worst part is, he has just realized mere hours before the explosive events of Chapter 21 that none of it was real.
His son never existed. The love of his life wasn't actually there holding his hand. He wakes up to a destroyed world and this crushing realization that his entire adult life was just a neurological fiction.
Which is just brutal. The grief of losing a child is catastrophic anyway, but mourning a child you just found out was a figment of your own desperate imagination.
It's a level of psychological horror that, honestly, most authors wouldn't dare inflict on a protagonist. How a character even places one foot in front of the other after a revelation like that is the central tension leading into this chapter.
But he doesn't have to take that step alone, right? Because his physical escape from the vault forced him into this radical new dynamic with Sharina.
Oh, Sharina, the tattooed evoker pixie. She is such a great character.
She really is. Fiercely independent, capable of conjuring raw plasma. And in the chaos of trying to heal each other's catastrophic wounds during the escape, they inadvertently triggered a biological and magical anomaly.
The blood bond.
Exactly. Their vitae, the life force magic that powered their abilities, is fused.
And it's way more intense than just like a shared emotional resonance. The text makes it very clear that they have fundamentally linked their central nervous systems.
Which is what saved their lives in the vault. It rejuvenated Sharina's atrophied muscles and pulled Kurien back from the brink of death. It made them this synchronized, highly lethal fighting unit.
Right. They operate as a single predatory organism. They share physical sensations, anticipate each other's movements in combat. They can even tap into the latent reserves of each other's Vitae abilities.
From a purely tactical standpoint, you could say it's the ultimate advantage in a hostile wasteland.
See, I look at the mechanics of this blood bond, and I honestly see a catastrophic vulnerability.
Oh, really? How so?
Well, think of this blood bond like a shared computer network. Two people hardwiring their laptops together to share processing power.
Okay, I follow you.
It's a great strategy for sharing files and fighting off external hackers, right? But Kurien's system is infected with a massive dormant malware.
Ah, you're talking about his alternate persona.
Yes. Those 12 years of agonizing torture didn't just break his mind. The trauma coalesced into a distinct, feral, demonic persona. It's driven by pure, localized malice. If he loses control, if that malware activates, it infects Sharina's system too.
Because they're hardwired together.
Exactly. He would literally force Sharina to experience his demonic madness through their shared nervous system. Doesn't this make their survival a massive liability rather than a superpower? It feels like every moment is a hostage situation for her.
I see what you're saying, but I would argue it's actually the opposite. That demonic persona is a crucial evolutionary survival trait.
A survival trait. But it's literally a demon of rage.
True, but that feral rage was the localized firewall that kept his core consciousness alive while his body was being destroyed in the vault. It isn't just mindless malice. It's the ultimate manifestation of his will to live.
Okay, I can see that. But what about the danger to Sharina?
The liability isn't the demon itself, but the lack of a grounding rod. And Sharina provides that grounding rod. Yes, she is constantly walking a psychological tightrope, acting as his anchor to pull him back from the edge.
So she's keeping him sane.
Exactly. Without her tied directly to his nervous system, that demonic survival instinct would have consumed him the moment he woke up and realized his family was fake. So the bond isn't a hostage situation. It's a mutual life support system.
Wow, okay. That makes a lot of sense. And because their internal reality is so incredibly volatile, the fragile stability of this newly bonded pair is immediately put to the test. Because the physical world literally explodes around them.
Which plunges us directly into the visceral action of broken seal.
Right. Let's set the scene for Chapter 21. Kurien is already reeling from a brutal fight where he nearly had to kill his former best friend, Tippin.
Yeah, Tippin was completely out of his mind on corrupted Vitae.
So, Kurien is emotionally bankrupt. He's sitting slumped against a tunnel wall, totally disassociated. And then the sky falls. A massive shockwave and a debris cloud completely overtake Kurien and Sharina.
The transition there from intimate psychological trauma to macroscopic apocalypse is instantaneous. Kirk describes it as this concussive wall of force tearing through the terrain.
The survival mechanics Kirk employs here are just a masterclass in establishing how a magic system works under extreme duress. To survive being pulverized, they don't just, throw up a generic energy shield.
No, they have to leverage the physical entanglement of their blood bond. They embrace, and in a fraction of a second, they use their fused vitae to alter the molecular density of Sharina's clothes.
Because her clothes were woven from ambient vitae threads, right?
Exactly. So they transform the fabric into a hardened, swirling metallic cocoon. It demonstrates the fluidity of vitae magic. It isn't just throwing fireballs, it's manipulating matter at a fundamental level.
And it saves them from being liquefied by the pressure wave. But the kinetic energy has to go somewhere. The blast launches their encased bodies hundreds of meters through the air,
violently crashing through the canopy of a forest and literally cratering the earth when they land.
Which just proves that the blood bond's enhancement of their physical durability is just as crucial as the magic itself. Because the impact alone should have killed them.
Oh, absolutely. But when the dust finally settles and they unseal their makeshift armor, they look up and see that the geography of their reality has been completely rewritten.
A massive, mysterious spire has erupted from the underground ruins of the city of Rouen. And just to give you a sense of scale, the structure has tiers the size of 4 major cities.
It's an architectural impossibility, just dwarfs the horizon.
Here's where it gets really interesting. Usually in standard fantasy tropes, when an ancient, city-sized fortress erupts from the ground, it signals a power-up sequence. The heroes go inside, unlock a hidden tier of magic, and level up.
But D.P. Kirk flips that trope entirely on its head.
He does the exact opposite. He doesn't give them a new weapon. A mysterious green energy wave washes outward over the landscape, and suddenly they are stripped of everything.
What's fascinating here is how this brilliant narrative choice breaks the established rules of the world. The green wave acts as a localized dampening field, and it doesn't discriminate.
Right, because Kurien has been relying heavily on stolen Anarch technology. And Anarch's tech is the absolute pinnacle of humane engineering. It's explicitly designed to bypass and nullify Vitae magic.
The ultimate anti-magic trump card.
Yeah.
But the moment the green wave hits, this cutting-edge technology completely dies. The power cells drain instantly. His high-tech rifle becomes what he calls a glorified club.
The irony is fantastic, but it isn't just the Humanis tech. Sharina's ranged evoker magic completely fizzles out too.
Yeah, she's a master evoker, capable of shaping raw plasma, but the green wave disrupts external Vitae manipulation. She tries to conjure a simple spark, and the ambient energy just dies.
By breaking the established rules of both tech and magic in a single stroke, the author completely strips away the character's safety nets.
It forces Sharina to adapt on the fly. She loses her ability to control the battlefield from a distance, so the only way she can use her plasma is through direct, point-to-point physical contact.
She takes her silver dagger, which is attached to a cord around her waist, and throws it at a target. Then she sends a concentrated pulse of her vitae directly down the physical tether of the cord to ignite the blade.
It circumvents the dampening field because the cord is a solid conduit. But it massively increases her physical vulnerability by forcing her into close-quarters combat.
Because they're external tools, their powers and weapons are suppressed by this world-altering event. Kurien and Sharina are forced to rely on the only thing that still works, their banter and their bond.
And the dialogue in this chapter is doing incredible heavy lifting here. It's both a coping mechanism for the characters and a deceptive layer of text for the reader.
The banter is amazing. I mean, despite the apocalypse, Kurien playfully calls Sharina his scary pixie, and she flirts right back, casually adjusting her tattered clothes.
If you were just skimming, it reads like a standard action movie decompression scene.
Exactly. But I want to draw your attention to the specific contrast between Kurien's smooth outward banter and his internal monologue, because internally, he is terrified.
He is intimately aware that his sanity is a fragile construct. He's terrified that the stress of the Spire and losing their weapons will awaken the demonic malware lurking in his subconscious.
The banter is an active defense mechanism. He's trying to convince himself and Sharina that he's stable. He's starved for connection after 12 years of isolation, but terrified he'll destroy the person he's finally connecting with.
And we really have to look at Sharina's role here, because pointing to the reader's guide notes, she is definitely hiding something.
She has major secrets. When they look at the Spire, they deduce someone or something broke the seal on an ancient holding chamber.
Kurien speculates it might be an anti-Vitae. You know, the ancient, godlike founders of the Santerrie who haven't walked the earth in centuries.
The idea that an ancient vampire god was just released should induce absolute panic. But Sharina is strangely evasive about this. She just places her hand on his waist and confidently says, "Now we go home."
And it's Kurien's physical reaction the exact moment she speaks those words that changes everything. His lungs inexplicably begin to hum with a strange vibration.
Yes, a distinct physical vibration deep inside his chest.
Because the biological reality of the blood bond is overriding his individual autonomy. The Vitae magic operates on harmonic frequencies. So Sharina's spoken intent carries a harmonic signature that directly manipulates his internal organs.
Imagine being in Kurien's shoes for a second. You have to trust someone completely with your life, you share a bloodstream and a nervous system with them, and then you realize they possess hidden agendas so profound they make your very lungs vibrate on command.
The level of vulnerability is just absolute. And this masterful blending of epic, macroscopic stakes with intimate, mysterious character dynamics is the core reason this chapter elevates the entire book.
So what does this all mean? Well, if you're looking for reasons to be excited to read San Vitae, The Awakening, Chapter 21, is the perfect pivot.
It really shifts the narrative gears.
It does. It shifts the story from a gritty underground prison break into a sprawling apocalyptic fantasy mystery. You aren't just wondering if they'll survive. You're invested in uncovering the fundamental nature of their reality.
If we connect this to the bigger picture, Broken Seal isn't just about a physical seal breaking to release a tower. It's about the breaking of the status quo of the entire world.
The rules of engagement between the Humanis and the Santerrie are violently erased by that green wave. Every foundational truth Kurien relied upon, his fabricated memories, the physical laws of his universe, systematically dismantled.
Which leaves us with a really provocative final thought to ponder. Think about that green wave. It's an instantaneous suppression of foundational tools, ancient magic and cutting-edge tech alike.
Right.
Map that onto our own reality. Our modern existence is sustained by our own invisible magic system, our digital infrastructure, power grids, communications.
Oh, wow. Yeah, if a green wave event like a massive solar flare or cyber attack instantly suppressed all our technology, turning our phones into glorified clubs, what happens to our societal bonds?
Exactly. Kurien lost 12 years to a fabricated memory, and now the rules of his world have changed overnight. When your past is a lie and the rules change, is your identity defined by what you remember or solely by the person standing next to you in the rubble?
If our tools were stripped away, would our underlying human relationships be strong enough to sustain us, or would we just become driven by the feral malware of our own survival instincts?
It really makes you wonder who we truly are without our safety nets.
That is a deeply haunting thought to leave on. We highly recommend grabbing a copy of San Vitae, The Awakening, to see how Kurien navigates that nightmare. Thank you so much for joining us, and until next time, keep diving deep.